battle commentary, where I'm playing as Athens versus Duuze playing as Rome. And I want to show you this commentary because I think it's one of the I have real issues trying to make Pikes work in multiplayer specifically, because usually people can maneuver around them very easily, and I find coming up against Pikes fairly easy as well, unless you have run out of missiles and the opponent boxes up. So here I'm going to try to use Pikes at least semi-aggressively, and the kind of the strategy and the thinking behind this build is fairly simple. You have these 6 cheap Pikes, mid-level Pikes by Athens, but you have to really make sure that you secure the skirmishing advantage, because now the way I'm deploying here, I'm just deploying so it isn't obvious that I have 6 Pikes in the beginning. Most of my stuff is hidden, so I'm going to see which direction my opponent is moving in. If he's moving straight ahead, good, then I'll just wait. If he's moving off to the sides, then I'll have to do something. So, 5 Thurio Spears, 1 Thorax Hoplite General, 3 Rhodian Slingers, 3 Cretan Archers, 6 Pikes, and 2 Citizen Cavalry. Very weak on the cavalry and pretty weak on the infantry, but pretty strong on the skirmishing component. So my opponent brought a Roman army consisting of legionaries, 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 Triarii, Eagle cohort, Socii Extraordinari, Evocati cohort, Triarii, Legatus, 2 auxiliary Syrian archers, Socii Equites Extraordinari, and auxiliary cavalry, and he has the same on the other flank as well. So my main objective is to pin his infantry, of course, destroy his skirmishers with my skirmishers, and make sure that he doesn't get any infantry or cavalry in my back lines. Now, a pike line alone is very easily outflanked, but if that pike line is supported by a lot of units able to pour javelins, shot and arrows into your back and flanks while you are outflanking, then you might risk reaching the back lines with a force that's not really strong enough to do anything, or the unit might be entirely destroyed. So I'm going to have to be very active with intercepting the units that go around, and if I'm able to do enough damage with my skirmishers, then they will be much less of a threat when they finally arrive. So my opponent is moving slightly to the right side of my pike phalanx, and as you can see, that is the unshielded side. So good move there, because any skirmishing, any javelins being thrown from this side and into my guys is going to have the benefit of hitting the side that isn't shielded. So the pikes will go down that much easier. Now I noticed he hid some units over here in the woods, but it's fairly obvious that his main intent is going around my pikes.
Understood.
So I'm just going to mirror, slowly move my line to face him so that I'm in a better position to receive any units, and I'm leaving these units here in case of cavalry coming through. So I have 3 units. My slingers are in front of my pikes, starting to fire at the Syrian archers. Drop them down a little bit. And my Cretans are moving up as well. And this is also to show that I have strong skirmishing capabilities to entice my opponent to come forward with some of his units. Over here I'm sending my Thurio Spears and my Citizen Cavalry against the Socii Extraordinari. The Citizen Cavalry are there to tie up the unit, while the Thurio Spears are there to provide range support. You see they're already starting to kill some Socii Equites. So this flanking force is repelled at the moment. Now I'm going to be, since I know he sent his cavalry around here, I'm going to be aggressive with my skirmishers, move up to get kills on the Syrian archers. And this is going to provoke a reaction in my opponent. He's going to have to push forward or stand here and take a lot of skirmishing fire. Now he is in the woods, he has some cover, so his units aren't going to take that much damage. At least not at first, but then they'll stop dropping. So he's moving forward with his guys. I noticed this cavalry unit being peeled off, and I'm going to run back behind the safety of my pike line. The Socii Equites are being dealt with, And I notice some auxiliary cavalry moving up here, so I have to move my supporting units over here, and they can start firing pretty soon on these auxiliary cavalry, which is very useful indeed. I'm going to do the same here, send my citizen cavalry over there to intercept. Soki equites are severely depleted, and here's what I want to have happen. You notice this auxiliary cavalry that charged in towards my skirmishers because they looked like an easy target? Well, now it itself is an easy target for my skirmishers. And any unit doing this kind of thing, moving from one flank to the other, is going to take a lot of casualties from skirmishers. So I'm chasing after this auxiliary cavalry with my citizen cavalry in order to intercept it before it can reach my back lines. Over here my Thurio spears are destroying the Soki equites, but he's starting to outflank me here. And now I have several options. I can either rearrange my line like this, or I can just use these units that have used all their ammunition. I can use them to stop him here. And that's what I want to do, because I don't want any flanking to happen here. So now he's going to engage my pikes frontally. I am only 3 men deep, so he's going to make it through with some guys, but it's not the smartest thing to do, I think. But still, he's going to pour these legionaries into my lines. I'm going to rearrange my skirmishers. And over here, his Soki equites are going down. Over here, his auxiliary cavalry is going down to my citizen cavalry. But he's going to pour guys into the gap here. And believe it or not, this is actually what I want to have happen. Because since I'm forcing this engagement and my opponent wants to win here, it stops him from moving around with the units. So it becomes kind of a sunken cost fallacy. Once you have engaged here, you kind of want to win here, instead of just moving around. Now he's going to try to push through with his Eagle cohort, but the Thurio spears are going to be able to hold him for a while. The legionaries are making it through these pikes, slowly, but they are dying in the process. And now I'm just skirmishing away at his Syrian archers. Once this flank is won, I'm able to swing around with my citizen cavalry and my Thurio spears, and they're going to be able to support this fight. So now I have my opponent fairly well boxed in here, and I'm going to turn the pikes around so that they face him like here. Now it's going to take even longer to outflank this way, and over here things are starting to get stable. Going to send in my general here to hold for a while, send the citizen cavalry around. And now he has to respond to this aggressive pike move here, which gives me even more time to shoot at these guys. So his Syrian archers are dying to skirmisher fire. This citizen cavalry is coming around to attack these Syrian archers. And overall things are looking pretty good for my pike line here. The thing, I think that if you're going to choose a pike line, you really have to build your army around the pike line. You can't just bring in a couple of pikes and expect it to work. You can, but usually it doesn't turn out that way. So here, these Soki equites are trying to move through to get at my skirmishers, losing some guys to the pikes. But I'm also moving up with these Thurio spears, which are going to intercept them fairly easily. So over here, the first unit of pikes is wavering, but got some nice kills there. My thorax equites are holding in phalanx, and now I'm going to start surrounding him with pikes. So pouring all of the units on one flank allowed me to bring up my other flank to support these guys and to surround them. So pikes are very poor offensive tools, so I'm going to try to run them as close as possible before giving attack orders here. Legionaries, managed to catch his legionaries with my pikes here. These are slightly deeper, so that they'll be more effective offensively, at least for a while. So here he's going to try to pull through with his legionaries, and it's going to work fairly well. His Soki equites, or Extraordinary, managed to pull through, and here you can see the pikes failing miserably in an offensive capability. They are managing to kill quite a lot of these evocati, but they are very easily outflanked. But at this point in the battle, it really doesn't matter much, because I already established skirmisher superiority. His cavalry is gone for the most part, and now it's all a matter of mopping up these final units. So my citizen cavalry got caught there by legionaries, but they are losing to pikes, so that's fine. His general managed to make it through to my back lines, so I'm going to start focus fire on him. I have skirmish mode off, and you don't want to do this with your general against Cretan archers and Balearic slingers, because this is what's going to happen to him. Yep. One dead Legatus. So my citizen cavalry are holding up his Syrian archers over here. They won't be able to contribute to the battle. Over here, these pikemen are actually winning against legionaries because they got a good engagement. My pike line is crumbling, but it doesn't really matter because I have all my skirmishers left, and I am now in my opponent's backlines, able to surround him fairly well here. So my opponent's army is crumbling, and I was quite happy with how I was able to use this pike build. Now, my opponent could of course have gone for sort of double envelopment and just ignored my pikes altogether and went around, but the problem then is that I can just keep pulling back while pouring skirmisher fire into him. So he mentioned that this is the build he likes to use with Athens. I quite like it as well, although I don't particularly like playing as pikes because it limits your offensive capabilities, and it's not really that hard to counter. If he would, for example, have brought more skirmishers, he could have just poured fire into my pikes and waited for gaps to appear, and it would be easier for me to hit, easier for him to hit his pikes than it would be, and then push my skirmishers back with cavalry, than it would be for me to do the same. But quite happy with how this battle went. It was a close victory. 1034 kills to 589. You can see my opponent's build here: 4 legionaries, 2 evocati, 2 Syrian archers. Cavalry wasn't able to do much, mainly due to these Thurio spears. And they didn't get too many kills, but most of the kills were cavalry kills, so that's pretty useful. Thorax Oplites did fairly well for themselves, and while the slingers didn't get insane kills and archers didn't get insane kills, probably because of the forest, a lot of it, the pikes got some kills, nothing spectacular, but that's the thing about this army. It doesn't really have any units that will do all the killing, but if used correctly, then you should be able to get a few kills on all of your units, which added up will amount to quite a few kills. So hopefully this gave you some ideas to try, especially the. It's not a revolutionary pike build by any means, having a strong skirmishing component and these pikemen as the center. But I think one of the main reasons why the build tends to work is because of these Thurio spears that are able to support the flanks very well. They don't need to catch cavalry to damage cavalry a lot. They just need to get into 80 range, and then they can start unloading javelins, which also allows them to support skirmishers in any frontal engagement. So if, let's say, my opponent is using superior skirmishing to take down my pikes, I'm going to run these Thurios forward to enable my skirmishers to fire at the enemy skirmishers' backs, and also possibly to throw some javelins. So very versatile force, these Thurio spears. And the pike phalanx is kind of like a big baby. You have to support it on all sides and at all times, unless you want it to crumble. But when you have established superiority, and if your opponent's army is concentrating its forces in one place, then you can start moving your pikes. Only when you've established cavalry superiority, when you've established skirmishing superiority, and don't expect them to do wonders. You can't just click, like in some previous patches you could click and they would go and attack and just demolish everything. They won't do that now, but they will hold fairly well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the back.